Welcome to the Hire Yourself podcast. If you're ready to take control of your destiny, build wealth, and live life on your own terms, this is the place for you. Each week, Nat and I will talk about business, franchising, and personal growth to help make you more successful. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Pete.
Woo, I'm pumped up today.
No surprise there.
Oh, yeah. Well, the first thing I'm pumped up about is that I make a difference in the world, right? I got these suicidal baby rabbits that are trying to commit suicide right outside my office. And I mean, they keep jumping into this hole that's 4 feet deep, my window well. And we keep getting them out. I'm like, I am making the world a better safe, saving one bunny at a time. So that's what I'm pumped up about. But second is today we got some very special guests, and I am so excited. I was Sherri Seiber and Shay Kleinschmidt. I did it, right? From FranFund. And they are very influential women in franchising, and we're so lucky to have them. So welcome, Sherri and Shay.
Good afternoon, or good morning, Pete. We're very happy to be here as well.
Whatever it is, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking time out of your very busy schedule. And as I'm trying to save one rabbit at a time, I know you're trying to help businesses or helping people go into business around funding. So Sherri, you're the president of FranFund. And when did you guys found FranFund?
Well, I'll tell the story, but that last sentence you said just is inspirational, because what we're really doing is just trying to help aspiring entrepreneurs realize their dream of business ownership. That's kind of the bottom line. Yeah. And on that note, FranFund was founded on a unique concept, which was to put multiple funding solutions under one roof. And that was back in 2006-07 type time frame. And if you do the math, you'll realize that shortly thereafter, the financial crisis happened. But that was okay. But prior to that, for an individual seeking funding for a business or a franchise, they would go into their local bank, assuming that a small business loan was just a no-brainer type of activity, and they would very often be disappointed. If there were other funding solutions, they usually didn't know about them. So the genesis of FranFund was really, let's put SBA lending, rollover for business startup, equipment leasing, fleet funding, commercial loans, all under one roof, so that when a candidate comes to us, they have a full conversation about what all the possibilities are.
Boy, and what a great thing you do for aspiring business owners, right? Is you've created a place where they have a complete, comprehensive opportunity to fund their business, or a combination of ways in which to fund their business. So that's cool. So you guys have been around for a long time. You're an industry leader. And Sherri, I know you've been recognized as one of the top females in franchising, which is very, very cool. But I got to get a little more personal with you.
Okay.
I know that you're a TCU fan, and my wife is a TCU alum. So we got a little bit of connection here. And I have to watch those frogs, right? But I'm amazed. How big a school is TCU?
Fully loaded. That is with undergrads and grads. It's still around 10,000 students.
Now, I'm thinking 10,000 students. That's not a lot for the level of sports that your teams, whether it's basketball or football in the championship. I'm amazed the level of sports you guys have for the size of school you're at.
It is very exciting. And I'll tell you what the pivot point was for that. In 2010, the Frog football team made it to the Rose Bowl. And that got us national attention, and it was just a story that people fell in love with. We have a lot of Californians here in Fort Worth, Texas, and I think they're not going to leave. I think they actually like it here. But not only do I love football, really being from North Carolina, and I didn't go to TCU, right? I went to University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. we're used to basketball as being the number one season. So I'm in hog heaven right here with
Eh,
March Madness, except
eh,
all of my teams are poof,
yeah,
gone.
everybody's bracket's blown away,
Yeah,
right? I
but
mean, so
so TCU basketball, baseball, and football have excelled, and then some lesser known sports such as the rifle team, which by the way is made up of all women, uh,
holy cow! I don't
won
want to
the
get them pissed off.
they won the NCAA championship this year.
Holy cow!
The
I
tennis
mean,
team's in the top. The volleyball team is in the top. I mean, it's just an
yeah.
exciting place to be right now.
Ah, that's great, and I love Fort Worth. I mean, that's also just a great city. We were
It
just
really
there
is.
in
It really
January,
is.
so very good. And by the way, my wife went to the Rose Bowl in 2010. So
We
what a
did
great game.
too.
Yeah, just that's all good. So, perfect. All right, so I want to talk a little bit today. I'm kind of upset, and I'm upset with the news. I hate the news because their job is to get us to tune in, and it's all negative. You don't hear good stories and stuff like that, and so. I want to kind of start a very high level because there's a lot of people watching news and they go, the banking system is failing, right? Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, both failed this year. And they're all reading the news and it's the highlights, everything is, the world is, basically blowing up. So talk to me a little bit about the banking atmosphere right now, because you're working with these banks all the time. So tell me kind of high level what you're seeing.
I'm going to start this and then I'm going to turn some of this more detail over to Shay. But I have to point out that the news and reality are hardly connected. Uh, right now, the franchise industry is seeing a growth rate that is explosive. And we are experiencing that here at FranFund. What we're seeing is executives, mid level managers, millennials that are saying, we don't want to work for the man or the woman, I guess, anymore. We want to be in charge of our future. We want to control our destiny. Let me explore business ownership. And so it's so exciting for us. And those people, the people that are aspiring business owners, they are able to accept the explanation of these expanded negativity views
Yeah.
versus reality. And so we love that.
Okay, so we know that franchising is booming. I mean, there's more people investing in franchise than we, ever before, right? It's explosive growth, and there's probably explosive growth for you because you're helping these people fund or capitalize their businesses. So I got that. Now, when we talk about the news and all this kind of stuff in these banks, Shay, you are the VP of lending at FranFund. And so with these banks failing and stuff like that, your job is to help people get SBA loans, to get loans. What are you seeing in regards to the lending environment today?
Yeah, so I keep a really good track and communication with the top SBA lenders in the nation. And right now, SBA is also booming right along with the franchise industry. SBA actually just released some data based on the fiscal year so far for 2023, and they have approved 10.4 billion so far in SBA loans, which is the highest amount of loans that have been funded since 2018. So not
Wow.
only are we back to pre-pandemic levels, but we are even beyond that doing way better. Lenders are not changing their appetites. They're not shutting their doors to new applications. In fact, it's quite the opposite. And that's what makes SBA so great, right? You have that kind of insurance policy from the government. So it just further incentivizes them to keep lending. So we're not noticing any negative changes there.
Holy cow. Well, and I got to quit watching the news because that's a totally different story, right?
Right.
So the idea is that, franchising's booming, funding of businesses is continuing on, the appetite, they're basically buying these loans or taking these loans. So that's great news from a standpoint. Now, I think from your standpoint, you guys get the opportunity to really kind of dig in and help people with the SBA process or other types of loans. What makes you guys different? How do you separate yourself from maybe some of the other companies that play in the same space?
So, we really pride ourselves on taking a very deep dive into the potential franchisee or business owner's financials, their business plan, So we work on not only a short-term funding strategy to get them the first unit open or territory, but also a long-term. So we want to make sure if they're doing 3-5 units, they have a plan set up to get all of those open. And then beyond that, we're best known in the lender world for our comprehensive loan packages. So we give them everything needed for an approval.
So what I heard you say is that number one, it's a long-term relationship for you. It's not a transaction from that standpoint. And number two is that you've developed a reputation of doing it kind of the right way and the best way from standpoint. Well, that's awesome. Now, you guys do the SBA. Sherri, I know that another common form that people utilize to fund their business is using their retirement dollars. So from that standpoint, you're seeing a lot of activity, people leveraging their retirement dollars to fund businesses?
So a lot of people did very well in their retirement accounts over the last couple of years. And so they have money sitting there, and potentially it allows them to combine the rollover funds with an SBA loan for the equity injection piece, and possibly achieve, buy a business with a little bit higher total project cost than maybe they thought they could. And that's one of the things that we're able to share with candidates when we're helping them review their options. And that's what we really do. We're not a fiduciary. So we're analyzing their financial situation. We are letting them know what's possible, or in some cases not possible, right? Because that's why there's things like, home equity loans and fleet funds and whatever.
Yeah, so the idea is that through the ROPS, the rollover program, I can take my retirement dollars, instead of investing in stocks and bonds, I can invest in my business in a tax compliant way. And what I heard you say is that sometimes you can take this frozen capital to retirement. You can't get to those dollars until you're 67 or whatever the age is. And you can use that right now to help fund your business. And you can use that in combination, or use some of those funds to be the down payment on an SBA loan. So the idea is that you guys help people figure out the puzzle of all the different combinations of funding your business. Did I get that right?
You got that exactly right. And I'll just point out that when you do access your retirement funds, very simple example, if you've got $100,000 in your qualified retirement account, you may use all $100,000 of that using the rollover for business startup process. If you were to decide to take a distribution, you would pay ordinary income tax rates. Plus, if you're under 59 and a half, you would pay a 10% penalty. So let's just assume a tax rate of 30% plus 10%, 100,000 turns into 60,000. If you take a distribution, it stays at 100,000 if you do the rollover process. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, so I understand you guys provide all these services. And Shay, people always come and say to me, Pete, I'm going to go to my local bank. I got a relationship with my local banker, right? And then I'm going to do my SBA loan there. And what I believe is that maybe it's a little bit easier for you guys, for them to use you, FranFund, because you guys know, one, the franchise system. You don't have to basically tell the bank what the business is, because you guys know these business models. But more importantly, you a lot of times know the institutions, the banks that are buying the paper for that specific franchise concept. So is that correct?
Yes, correct. So a good thing about using a funding partner like FranFund instead of going to a local lender is that you have about a 32% chance of being approved by a local bank, because most borrowers just don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to appropriately put together cash flow projections. And once a bank sees cash flow projections that don't fit their parameters, they can't give them hints on how to fix it. It's just declined. So we know all the ins and outs of what lenders are looking for right now, and we give really just great feedback and guidance on how to make that loan package perfect to meet those needs.
So if what I heard you say is that you take extra time and you understand what the banks are looking for, so you help them have a better chance of getting the loans approved.
Right.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
We have a 99% success rate with loans that we have done a pre-approval for. Our pre-approval is not a rubber stamp.
Holy cow, 99%. That's like awesome. Wow. You got to get that one. You got to get that 1 more percent. You realize that, right?
Well, you want to guess? You want to guess what the problem with the 1% is? They perhaps left something out.
All right. So it's not on you guys. Okay, I got it.
No, not us.
All right, very good. All right, so you're just a great source for people that are looking to become entrepreneurs to fund their businesses, right? So now we're going to take a step back a little bit. So if I am a person that wants to become a business owner, what characteristics do you think a business owner should have? So if I'm going to business, what characteristics should I have?
First of all, I think tenacity is a good one. Just set your purpose and follow the breadcrumbs to achieve that purpose or that goal. So you got to have that. You got to be you've got to have good character, and character is not just, oh, Pete, you're a likable guy. It's credit is wrapped up into character. So if you have not demonstrated good behavior with previous loans, that will not go well for you. And so the want to, that's the number one thing that I like to see from people. They are determined. They're going to walk through walls to get their goals done. They don't necessarily all need to be detail oriented. There's businesses that sort of fit every kind of personality. Are you a front of the counter person? You're a back of the counter? Are you in the dark mushroom room or whatever? I just think that knowing what you're ultimately trying to achieve is one of the best characteristics of the business owner. Because I think
So what I heard you say is that number one, you got to have a vision where you're going, what you want to accomplish. Number two is that you got to work your butt off. You got to have tenacity. And number three is you've got to demonstrate that and live a life of good character. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. And how about you, Shay? What thoughts do you have on that?
I would say it's going beyond, like, obviously understanding your business model, like having the trust and the understanding in it to be successful, knowing all the ins and outs. And then also, even just because we're a funding company, I'm not saying this, but definitely if you need some kind of financing, having funding in place in the preliminary stages, so you don't end up going too far down into the process. And now you're like, okay, well, I need money, and where am I going to get that? So I think just from all scopes, having a plan.
Yeah, got it. So I think I heard you say you always got to be a student of business, right? You always have to be learning and adapting and stuff like that. And number two is that you got to go out there and kind of make sure that you got the capital, because being a good business owner is you got to make sure you're capitalized right. And somebody once told me that when you want money, you can't get it. When you don't need money, it's easy to get, right? So we want to always make sure that we have a plan. And you guys help at FranFund people put together plans to fund their business or capitalize them the right way.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, great. Let's go to, I always like to kind of pick people's brains. So what would be, we'll start with you, Sherri. What is the best advice somebody's ever given you?
Well, I could answer that in so many ways because I've been given lots of polishing points in my life. I'm going to say two things, even though you said one. One of them is you're not better than anybody and nobody's better than you. Meaning, and that was very helpful for a female of a certain age, growing up more in a male-dominated world, which has changed significantly now. But knowing that there were no barriers around what I could do with my future. That's an important point. The second one is, and I mentioned this before, but it's a really important one. Your credit is your reputation. Takes a long time to build it, takes a short time to lose it. So don't have high credit card debt. Don't make your house payment a week late every month. Don't, just things like that. You can protect your reputation with your credit score.
Okay, that's great. How about you, Shay?
Well, start with my dad. Always as a woman, would advise that I do not rely on a man for success, but I'll turn that around and say, for anyone, don't rely on someone else for your own success or happiness. So part of what makes me passionate about what I do is I get to help people take control of their own destiny and their own success with business ownership.
God, that's great. That's awesome advice. All right, excellent. You guys have a favorite book? We'll start with you, Sherri. Any favorite book that you would recommend to people?
If it's business, my business and my personal are two different things. For personal, I am a voracious reader, and a lover of historical fiction. So, from that standpoint, I go down, East of Eden, John Steinbeck, or more current, like a Ken Follett, The Pillars of the Earth, or something like that. From business, I love Simon Sinek, the why.
Yeah.
Why? I think that is just a brilliant and very simple strategy that to live by.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great book. Thank you for that. All right. How about you, Shay? Favorite book?
Mine's a little cheesy, but The 5 Love Languages has just really, helped me with just clients, just understanding like what makes them tick, as well as my own personal relationships. I've read it multiple times and I just find it super insightful.
Yeah, my wife keeps making me read it over and over again. I'm a slow learner, so but I'll figure it out one of these days, right? So that's very good. Any thought leaders that you guys follow? We'll start with you, Sherri.
Well, in addition to Simon, I like Patrick Lencioni. I think that he's got a great set of business books and principles that are easy to follow. Those are easy to read because I'm not going to sit here and say I love reading business books, but I do read I read a lot of them. And over the years, I've read many, and most of them, not all of them, but some of them are just same stuff, different day, just regurgitated in a different way. And I find that Patrick has some principles that you can really glom onto and execute in your own life.
Excellent. All right, perfect. And how about you, Shay?
I second that. And we have read a lot of those within our leadership group and have brought them to the table to discuss and even implement a lot of those strategies and ideologies into our company.
All right. Well, that's excellent. Well, guys, thank you for, telling us that the world isn't doomed, that there is actually a world out there where banks are out there facilitating loans and people can follow their dreams, take control of their destiny by becoming business owners. And FranFund is a great place for them to go to figure out their funding plans. And whether you're using retirement dollars, using SBA loans, or a combination, bottom line is that you guys are there. So thank you guys so much for everything you shared with us today.
Thank you so much, Pete. And we enjoy working with you and your candidates.
Thanks for listening to the Hire Yourself podcast. For more resources, check out our website at hireyourself.com. And remember to subscribe to this podcast to receive each episode. Please leave us a rating, and we'd love to hear your feedback or suggestions for topics.